Voro Motors here to pick up the Altis. Time to unload and start assembling. Number plate, rear fender, and display. Oh, there's the charger,
Pegs, kickstand. Not sure what that is.
that's for the brake, caliper,
Yeah.
I think. What are these? For the handlebars. Handlebars. Nice. Alright, so we had to take this panel off so we can access this side of the forks, and we have to unscrew the cap here, pull that off, make sure that all these bolts are loose right here, and then we're going to push the axle out that direction. Just pull it out, and that's going to release the bike from the block. Alright, we have the bike propped up so we can put the front tire on, and I'm going to take the front brake caliper and just wrap it around this direction because I think it should go on the inside instead of the outside. We use the provided Allen keys to tighten up each end to bring the axle and forks together, and then tightened up the 4 bolts to lock down the axle. Lock this up real quick. I wasn't sure what direction this adapter bracket goes on, so it goes on that direction right there. So these 2 bolts were just threaded in there, just sitting there by themselves, so I took those out and put the bracket on, and then the caliper went on, and then I wanted to double check the clearance of the cable, make sure routing it this direction was going to be good, and it's clear, looks good. Gonna get started on the foot peg, just 2 bolts, and that goes right on. We're setting up the kickstand sensor. You just put a nut on both sides of this bracket here to hold the sensor in place. It came with the front brake already mounted on the bars and all this stuff mounted on the bars. And we have the grip on this side, but we have to mount these controls and the rear brake. There's the screw, and it just goes in the hole like that. Now we're going to use this hardware to mount the handlebars. You can see the 4 holes that they go into. Bars are mounted up. Now we're setting up the rear brake, and then we'll tighten that down. It's a T15. So we'll put this in place, and we'll use our Torx tool to tighten that down. Gonna put the rear fender on, and we had to lift the seat to access these 2 bolts. Alright, we mounted the display with the little rubber spacers in there, and now we're gonna go ahead and plug everything in. We're gonna put the number plate on. Slips onto those little pegs there, and then the bolts are already threaded in there, so we'll take those bolts out on both sides and get the number plate bolted on. Alright, we have it all assembled. We're gonna plug the battery in. Alright, so we swiped the key, and looks like the throttle is working, so we didn't really have to do any setup. Sweet. I went through and checked all the bolts. There was 1 bolt holding the side panel on that was very, very loose. 2 of the triple clamp bolts, they weren't loose, but I just snugged them up a little bit more. They weren't as tight as they should have been. And other than that, everything I checked was tight, and everything looks good. Ready for a ride.